Hello, everyone, and welcome to Boswell Book Company's conversation with author Barbara Joosse. I'm Jenny, and I'm a bookseller at Boswell Book Company. We're glad kids and teachers from all over the city are joining us today to celebrate the publication of Barbara's new book, which I've got right here, Everybody's Tree. First, a little bit about Barbara. She lives in Port Washington, Wisconsin, which is a little harbor town on the shore of Lake Michigan. I'm going to switch to the next slide. Which it was letting me do before, and it's now not letting me do. So I'm going to see if this works. Here we go. Okay. Barbara has written over 50 books. I'll bet many of you have read at least one of them, if not more. She writes books that are funny and some that are serious. And she likes to give readers like us something to think about when the book is done. Talk about writing, and we'll talk about Christmas trees, and we'll talk about other stuff like how does an idea get made into a book? You may have questions about writing and Christmas trees and other stuff. And so you can type them into the Q&A, which is at the bottom of your screen. And when we're all done with Barbara and I chatting, then we'll answer some of your questions. And remember that a question starts with who, what, where, when, or how. It means you're being a detective and you're trying to find out information. Can you tell everyone about the art project that you and Renee, who's the illustrator, created to go along with the book? And friends, if you would like a copy of the art project, email me or ask your parents to email me or your teacher to email me, and I will send you a PDF of the art project so that you and your friends can participate. So my email is at the bottom of the screen. It's jenny@boswellbooks.com, and I'll send you this coloring page. So tell us about it, Barbara.
Okay. I'm going to talk a little bit later about what I was thinking about when I was a kid. And that's something that the tree thinks about in the very beginning of the story. The tree says, I don't yet know what I will be or if there's something great in me. But I will wait and I will grow, and one day, 1 year, I will know. Well, a lot of children have big thoughts. They want the world to be a better place. So I'm going to ask children right now just to think about what they would like to see better in the world. Some people might say, well, Jenny, maybe you have an idea of what you would like to see better. How would you like to see the world better?
Well, I would like to see the world better if all cats and all dogs had a happy home. And there was nobody in the Humane Society, so there was no need for it anymore because everybody had a happy home. That's my dream for a better world.
That's the dream. And I think almost every child has a dream like that. It could be about animals finding homes. It might be a cure for this terrible COVID that we have and everybody being healthy. It might be that there's peace. So I want you to think about the way that you would like the world to be a better place. Then around the candlestick, you might draw that world. So if you are imagining what Jenny thought, an animal finding a home, you might find an animal in a cage on one side, draw that, and on the other side, that same animal in somebody's arms. So you find a way around the candlestick to draw the world that you want. Then I want you to know that in every one of you, there is a light that shines. You may not yet know how you can make the world a better place, but if you want the world to be better, you will find a way. So take the light that's in you and decorate the top around the flame as fancy and bright as you can. And you can put your name at the bottom of the candle stand. Maybe you know your special gifts. Maybe you are very good at singing, or maybe you're good at art. So you might want to say, I shine because I am a good artist, or because I'm a good singer. But maybe you don't know yet what your gifts are. That's okay. I shine because I have big thoughts. You might say that. So that's their art project that I want them to do.
That is so sweet. I'm going to print this out and do this myself.
Good. You better make the light
Um,
pretty bright because you have a bright light.
and I'm going to take a picture of it and send it to you. And let's see. When you were a little girl, you wondered how you could make the world a better place, which you've done with your writing. Did you know when you were a little kid, this little girl right here with the fish and and here you are with your brother, did you know that you wanted to grow up to be a writer?
Not a clue. First of all, Jenny, this will be a big surprise to children. I had no libraries, none at my
No
school.
libraries?
No libraries, none in my school and none in my town. The library was started in my town when I was in middle school. So
Really?
before that, the only books I had were just a few on my family's shelf. So I had no idea that an author was, I didn't know how books came to be. I had no idea. But I did know that there was a wisdom in children, in me, that wasn't always true for adults. It felt like adults had a lot of rules, like that you cannot wear white shoes after Labor Day. Well, that seemed like a silly rule because my fanciest shoes were white. And if you went to church, you had to wear a hat. If you didn't have a hat, then you had to wear a tissue on your head. Well, that didn't seem like a good rule either. So I thought there is a wisdom to children that adults don't seem to see. Oh, and also that the world was exciting. I remember when I was probably 6 years old, I had a little card table and it was next to a window and I was folding my baby sister's diapers and I saw sparkles in the air. And I thought, there's the magic. My mom doesn't believe in magic. She doesn't believe in things being special and cool and amazing. So here's my proof. So I ran to get her and I brought her back and I said, Mom, look, there's the magic. There's the proof. All those sparkles in the air. Do you know what she said? She
What?
said, that's dust. You know, I thought, well, maybe, but maybe not. And it frustrated me that adults didn't see that. So I promised myself two things when I was little. I promised I will never forget what it's like to be a kid.
And you'll see the magic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I will find a way to make the world better. I didn't have any idea how. I had no particular talents. I wasn't good at school. I wasn't good at the piano. I wasn't good at riding my bicycle. I couldn't catch a ball. I had no idea how I was going to make the world better. And a lot of children feel that way. Still, they have big thoughts.
Okay. So here are some pictures that you sent me, and I would like to know, who is this fluffy friend?
Isn't he cute?
He's so cute.
No, he's our new puppy. His name is Booker, and he's growing a lot. He's growing about half a pound a day, which is a lot. So, and Booker is sweet and gentle and smart, and sometimes he's crazy dog. He's just crazy dog. So we were trying to take a picture of me and Booker. Chuck was trying to take the picture and I tried to put Booker on my lap and he was so wiggly that he just kept squirming and squirming. And that's why I'm laughing in one picture. And it's why I'm rolling my eyes in the other, because sometimes you can't control a dog.
He doesn't really look like he's a lap dog, especially if he's going to get bigger and bigger. But he does look like he'd be a good friend for taking out on walks.
Oh, he is. And he is a silly dog. He likes being silly. And I just love him to pieces. And I say his feet are like mucklucks. Those are kind of special furry slippers. And
yeah, he's lucky to have special furry slippers in this cold weather.
He doesn't get cold at all. I get cold first.
Okay, so I want to talk more about Everybody's Tree. Everybody's Tree had a long journey from the time it was written to the time the boxes of books arrived at the bookstore. And there's a picture I took yesterday of a box of your books, and here it is in the bookstore. And so people could buy and read it. Why is this the right time for your book and the message it gives to readers?
Well, I wrote the book over 10 years ago, the story over 10 years ago. And I had an agent then, and she sent it out, and it kept coming back. And it kept
Now,
coming
tell us what an agent is.
Okay, an agent is someone that an author can hire to sell their story to a company that makes it into a book, a publisher.
Okay, okay.
They know the people to send it to, and they know their address, and they know how to do it and all that. So you probably need an agent to sell a book. But she wasn't selling this one, so I gave up on it. But the comments that I was getting from those people who said, no, thank you, said, this is really a good story, but it's not the right time. And I write a lot of stories that don't become books. It's just part of being an author, is that you have some that are published and are accepted and a lot that aren't. And this one wasn't. So time passed and I gave up on it. And I threw it away, threw it in the garbage. Yeah, I did. Because you can't keep every book. You can't keep every folder. My office was getting eaten up by unsold manuscripts and all kinds of things. So I needed to clean house. I got rid of it. And then my best friend, Renee, we had published a number of books together at this point, and she was looking for another project we could do together. She said, what about that book, Everybody's Tree? We worked on that together. I went, oh yeah, I remember that book. I wrote it at a time when I was very sad. I hadn't been selling stories. I was kind of down on myself, and it sort of got me out of my slump, but it didn't sell. And so I said, well, I do kind of remember it, but I don't think it was very good, because I remembered it hadn't sold. She said, yes, it was. And I said, well, I looked for it, and I called her back and I said, I don't have it anymore. I threw it away. Oh, she was very upset because she thought it was a good book. And she said, look again. So I looked carefully through my office, and the folder was gone, but there was a shelf I couldn't reach or see. And I thought, you know, wouldn't it be crazy? But I'm just going to try. So I climbed up on a ladder and I inched my fingers to the edge of the shelf and I pull it out, and there it was. Everybody's.
There it was. Wow.
I sent it to my editor at Sleeping Bear Press, Barb McNally. And I said, what an author should never say. I said, well, I know it's not very good, but I think I can make it better. She read it, and within hours, she emailed back and she said, don't touch it. I love it. It was a story that didn't have a right time. And then the time changed, and this is the right time. It's a time when everybody wants to feel the anticipation of something good all together and share a moment, a good moment together. And even the history of a family planting a tree and the tree growing up with the family. That's another thing that people are really responding to. And it's probably why they sold out of the first printing very quickly and now are going into another printing.
Oh,
So
that's wonderful.
very well.
Well, to me, it feels like we all want to be part of a community now. Even though we can't all be together right now, we want to think about what it's like to be part of a community and look forward to the day when we can be together again.
Right.
And we can go to a tree lighting again, because hopefully that'll be next year. That'll be next Christmas.
I think it will.
I think it will too. Okay, so if someone watching and listening today, maybe a student or a teacher or a parent, has an idea and they want to make their idea into a book that we could sell in our bookstore just like this, how do they go about doing that? How do they go about making their idea into a book?
Well, all writers need to be readers. They should be reading, reading, reading. And if they are creating a picture book, which is what this is, they should be reading picture books and reading recent picture books and old picture books. So that's the first thing. Then the next thing is they should write it, and it should be between 3 to 7 typewritten pages long.
Okay.
Book. And they have to be willing to revise, change, rewrite. You can't have your feelings hurt when somebody helps you to make the story better. And you have to know you can keep making it better. So I probably rewrite a book about 500 times before it's finished.
500 times.
Yeah.
Wow.
Then you send it into an agent or a company and have them look at it, and you will get, like I have, many rejections. But sometimes it's a story that's waiting for just the right time, like this one was.
And do you have to find the person to draw the pictures, or does your publisher do that?
You should not find someone to draw the pictures. If you are an artist also, you might draw a few sample pages, or you might show how the tiny little drawings of pages, how they would line up. But most authors are not illustrators, and you should just send the story in without any illustration at all. And the reason is, Jenny, that it changes before it's published. Believe me, the editor will find lots of things to change in the book, and you want to be illustrating the most recent changes. So Renee did not get to finish those illustrations until all of the revision was done on the book.
Okay. Wow. Okay. So what can you tell us about why Christmas trees became important to the celebration of Christmas? And in this picture here, we have, the bottom, we have Queen Victoria and her family celebrating with a Christmas tree. We have your Christmas tree from your book. We have a picture of a Christmas tree from Rockefeller Center. So obviously Christmas trees have become very, very important. But why? Do you know why?
Mm-hmm. Well, Christmas trees are evergreens, always green, always hopeful. And they tell us that there is hope at the end of winter. Just like right now we're thinking, oh my gosh, this pandemic is so awful, but there's hope at the end of it. So people before Christianity had the same idea. And on the winter solstice, which is December 21st, that is the darkest, longest night and the shortest day, when it feels like, can it get darker? Can it get worse? On that day, before Christianity, pagans would celebrate with Christmas or with evergreen boughs to remind each other that there is hope, there is light at the end of darkness. So Christians, to show that a tree celebrated Christmas, used the same idea. They also thought that because of the shape of the tree of a triangle, that it represented the Trinity, and it became a Christian symbol, but it has always been a hopeful symbol for everyone, whatever your faith is.
I just love that looking at a Christmas tree should give us a feeling of hope. Mm-hmm. I'm going to remember that when I'm decorating my tree this year. Okay. So, one last question from me before I see if any of our friends have any questions for you. Barbara, you and I have been friends for years now, and I've always wondered, why do you have purple and blue hair that looks like a birthday ribbon?
Oh no.
It's so pretty.
And I didn't see a reason why not to do it. Sometimes that's why you do something, because it's fun, and that's all. It's fun.
Okay, just because it's fun.
And there's no good reason not to.
I don't see a reason not to.
Yeah.
Our first question is from Parkview School, grade 2, room 7. And it's a question I wonder about too. How do publishers make books? After the author writes the words and the illustrator draws the pictures, what happens next?
Some images, and I don't know, Renee could answer that, how the images are sent to a printing company. And in the case of this book, the printing company was, I think, in China. And so it has glow in the dark balls in the front and lights in the front of the book.
So right here, if I went into the dark, it would glow.
That's right.
It was so awesome.
The lights would glow. You can feel with your finger, Jenny, there's raised bumps there.
Yeah, there's raised bumps on it.
All the raised bumps are the parts that will glow. If you take it in your closet, if there's no light in there, you'll see it glow. And the company in China could do it. But when they go to the reprint of the book, the books that are now being distributed to bookstores had to be printed fast, very fast. And so they will be printed in our country where we couldn't find a publisher to do the glow in the dark part on the cover of the book. So they make something like, a printing company makes something like a stamp. So maybe some of the kids know they've got stamps. You stamp it on an ink pad, you can stamp it forever. Each time a page is created, it isn't created from nothing. There's a stamp that's made that colors and prints the image on the paper. And it's bound and boxed and sent to the warehouse.
Okay, and then from the warehouse, the bookstore orders the books and they get put on a truck, like a UPS truck, and they come to our store, and someone in our receiving room unpacks them and puts them on a cart. And then in the bookstore, we put them on the shelf. And that's the end of the story. Well, it's not the end, because people come in and buy them, or they order them over the computer and we ship them to people. So it's a long journey, isn't it?
It is a long journey. Yeah. And the sadness for me is I never get to see people read my book.
Oh, that is sad.
I mean, I've written it, and sometimes I hear from children who read a book and loved it and talk about it, but I don't get to see them read it. And that's a big treat when I get to do that. I get to see it.
Yeah, of course it is. Okay, so we have another question from someone who says, how do you think of your ideas?
Oh man, I'll tell you of a new idea and how it came. That'll give you a clue. I sometimes go on this Facebook site called Port Washington Voice. And it's where people can write in almost anything they want, neighborly things like, here's a good place for a fish fry, stuff like that. This woman wrote in and she had a picture of a mitten floating in Lake Michigan. And she said, my daughter dropped her mitten in the lake. Good thing it's wool. And I looked at that lonely little mitten down there and I said, oh, don't worry. It's headed for the island of lost mittens, and it's going to have a party there, a cattywampus party there, and all the other mittens are on the island. I thought about it and I thought, this could be a story. But then, Jenny, when I started writing it, it didn't come out to be that story at all. It started out completely different. But the original idea came from someone just saying they lost a mitten. You never know.
So stories are everywhere.
They are everywhere. You had a good comment in the beginning with those questions, who, what, when, where, and people being detectives. Authors are number one observers of people and things. And we are snoopy as all get out. We want to see, we want to hear, overhear conversations, because that's the material we write about.
Of course it is, yes. Let's see, I'm looking for another question. Here we have a first grader who would like to know, how did you get to be such a good writer?
Well, practice, but that's an easy answer. And I honestly believe two things. I believe two things. The more you write, the better you get. Some people are born with particular gifts. I don't think, no matter how I practice, that I could catch a ball very well. I don't think, no matter how much I practiced, that I could be good at math or the piano. But if I practice and practice, I keep getting better as a writer. So you have your gifts. You might not know them yet.
Okay, somebody wants to know, what kind of dog is your dog?
Well, he's mostly a poodle and he's partly a Bernese mountain dog. And that's why he's growing at half a pound a day. He'll be pretty big.
So he's
Oh,
a mix of a couple different kinds of dogs.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Okay, so let's see. So why did you choose to become an author?
Oh,
Or did it choose you?
it's yeah, I mean, it's both. It fulfilled my pledge. I won't forget what it's like to be a kid. That's why I write for kids and not for adults. And I wanted to represent children's concerns and ideas and thoughts in books for them and by them, kind of. But it's also what I do best. And it's a whole lot of fun for me to write. It's my favorite thing to do.
Okay, someone else wants to know, does your dog love kids?
He grew up, I mean, his first puppyhood, he was in a family with 8 children. This family takes in special needs foster children. So he loves little kids. He can be very strong. He's a strong dog. When he sees children, he races for them. But I will say that with masks and winter, he's very confused because we're covered up here, we're covered up here, we're covered up here. And all that he sees is eyes staring out of all this fabric. And it's very confusing for dogs. So I'm hoping when COVID is over, he can see real faces and remember that's people in there. It's hard for them.
Okay. Oh, someone else wants to know how old he is.
4 months old.
Oh, is he just 4 months old? Oh, wow. He's still got a lot of growing to do.
Really
You're going to have your hands full.
Yeah.
Okay. Someone else wants to know, how many books have you written? I thought it was more than 50, but I wasn't sure how many. How many books have you written?
I'm pretty sure, and I haven't counted, but it's either 54 or 55.
Okay. Okay, I think that's the end of our questions. We have a lot of people who say thank you for sharing the time with us, and that they're going to look for your books in the libraries and in the stores. So, oh, and that's a school from Port Washington that wants to say thank you. Okay, so I'm going to close this. Okay, so thank you to all the schools that joined us here today. I think it was so fun to have schools from all over the city get together and have an author event. And if you would like to find out more about author events that we do here at Boswell, please send me an email at Jenny, Jenny, at boswellbooks.com, and I'll put you on my distribution list. So thank you to Barbara, and happy holidays to everyone. Take care. Bye-bye, friends. Thank you so much for being with us. Thank you, Barbara.
You.